Okay, here we go. Well, good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Time Out with Tony. Over the last few weeks, I have did a series called The Four Qualities of a Good Man. And those four qualities are care, character, commitment, and competence. And today's guest, I believe, strongly believe, and I know without a doubt embodies all four of those qualities. So it is my extreme pleasure to introduce today's guest on today's Time Out podcast, Mr. Mitch Hercule. Mitch, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me. It's an honor, man. Definitely.
Man, glad to have you here, brother. As I said, Mitch, this is just a continuation of the series, man. I've been interviewing, some men who I believe embody those qualities of what a good man is. And I certainly think that, with the work that you do in the community and the work that I've watched you grow at that role, you certainly fit those qualities, man. So I want people to hear a little bit about your story. And I think by the end of this podcast, they're going to understand why I chose Mitch Hercule to be on my show today.
All right.
So, Mitch, tell us about yourself, man. Born and raised in Boston. Give me a little background about who you are, man.
Born and raised in Mattapan, Mass. Gallivan Community Projects. My mom, big part of my life. My dad was around, but my mom was the one that, put the stamp on me. She just instilled the qualities of, just try to help as much as you can. Try to be the best individual that you can, and just remember that you got your family on your back. So all the mistakes you make, it's not just you making the mistakes, it's your family. So I try to make sure that I try to go as straight and narrow as possible. Obviously, we all make our mistakes, but at the end of the day, I'm just trying to represent the family, and trying to make sure that my kids have somebody to look up to in a positive light.
That's perfect, man, because my next question was going to be, what influence did your parents have on the man you've become today?
Yes.
Talk about the influence your mother has, man, and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up as a kid, Mitch, in Boston, did your parents bring you to church? Or they exposed you to faith? Were your family of faith, Christianity, whatever religion?
So my mom, as I started getting a little older, like teenage years, my mom started to become sick. So she wasn't able to get out the house much. She did have little Bible studies in the house, but when I remember when I was real young, she used to be trooping me to the churches. I used to go to a couple different churches, she would troop me in. And the last couple of years, since I've been married, me and my wife have been going to Jubilee Church in Stoughton. So yeah, so since we've been going to church, man, I think we've been a lot more focused, me and my wife as well, just being focused on doing the things the right way. I mean, just trying to make sure that, like I said before, that the kids, see something like my parents did this, I want to do that. My parents went to church, I want to go to church. My parents are getting their master's degree, I want to get my master's degree. Things of that nature, because I'm just looking at it like I want to be the person that my kids didn't have, well, I didn't have when I was a kid, and I want to be that influence for as many people as I possibly can.
That's fantastic, man. So you're a man of faith. It's safe to say you're a man of faith.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So aside from your mom, were there any other adults who had an influence on the man you've become today?
Well, I believe like everybody that you come across has some type of influence on you, right? And growing up in the Gallivan, we did have the older guys that used to give you the advice. Don't do it my way. My way was tough. I did a couple years. You should just go to school, do your thing. We had the community center, the Gallivan Community Center. Had a lot of mentors there that positively affected my life. Just picking me up, bringing me to games. Just getting me out of the neighborhood. And the more you get exposed to different people and different things, the more you grow. So I just appreciate everybody up to that point. And then when I got into high school, your coaches, you have your favorite teachers that influence you as well, and then going to college and playing basketball for Charlie Titus at UMass, just having those talks with him as well. Great mind right there. It gives you a lot of information real quick. Some of it you take, some of it, he yells at you a little bit. Well, you see yell
Right.
at me a little bit, but
I'm sure Coach Tyler's would
yeah,
appreciate that one.
yeah. So I absorbed a lot of information from him. And my community center at the Galvin, young lady Tara Young, man. Every time I talk about people that influenced my life, I always bring her up because she was the one that took me off the stoop, brought me to the Roxbury Boys and Girls Club to play, brought me here, brought me there. And, just those experiences of being younger and playing with the older guys, it really made a difference. It grew my confidence, and that's a big piece of it, growing that confidence.
That's interesting that you would say that, man. That you would give credit and props to a female, female who had influence, like female coach Miss Young, because men don't like to admit when we get influenced by women as well in our lives, not just
Absolutely.
other women who pour into our lives as well, man. So that's shout out to Tara Young. So growing up, you're in the project, you're in the Galvin Housing Community Development in that area, in that community. Were you a good athlete as a young kid?
I was the chubby kid that was picked last a lot. And you could go to my neighborhood and you could ask the older guys around, like, hey, he was the chubby kid. He could shoot the 3-ball, but he didn't play defense. He was short, and I had a growth spurt. I started working out. I started understanding the importance of getting your body in good shape. And then I just continued to just work, and eventually I wasn't the last guy. I was the first guy in the van. We got to go get him. All right, so we'll fit our team around him. So I seen from the last man on the bench to the first man, so I've seen the whole struggle. And when people talk about hard work pays off, it really does.
So you're a living testament to that, man. And that's a
Absolutely.
perspective that you just shared. So now you're developing, you have a growth spurt. What high school did you play at?
I went to O'Brien.
Okay, so you're at O'Brien, you're having a good career there. Obviously, you want to go on to college, and you just mentioned a little while ago that you went on to play college basketball. Where did you go to school?
UMass Boston.
You went to UMass Boston. So when you go there, again, you worked hard work is paying off. Did you ever think about becoming a pro basketball player?
I wanted to just stick my foot in to try to go overseas. I got a couple letters after my senior year to come in and do some tryouts. I talked to Coach Titus, and I talked about the future, and he's like, you could give it an opportunity, but like what the feedback that I get from you is like you should be a coach. He's like, because of your basketball mind, and you're always thinking on the court, always knowing where everybody is, and you should try to start to go into coaching. And the thing about it was like, hey, that's a pretty good idea, like I could go back to the community, coach the young kids, learn my craft, perfect my craft. And I think that was one of the best pieces of advice that I got, because I didn't really think of myself as being a coach. I just thought of myself being able to help, and finding that way to help kids allowed me to help them in a lot of different avenues as well.
Absolutely. So I want to ask you, that's key. What you just mentioned was that Coach Titus kind of influenced you to go into coaching. Mm-hmm. So when you were coming up, before you even got to that point, I wanted to ask you, and this is a question to me, because we know a lot of young people play sports, whether it's football, basketball, whatever it is. But there's some challenges you go through growing up. How did you avoid some of the pitfalls, or did you avoid them that helped, during the way? Because in order to be serious about sports, you have to make some sacrifices and commitment. And sometimes we know we don't always make the best decision. I didn't make them, and I'm sure you didn't make them either. Right. To avoid some of those pitfalls that didn't derail you from going on to the next level.
It's those points in your life where, wow, that could have been me. If I had went with him today, I would have been in jail. Wow, if I had took that left instead of that right, that could have been me that got shot. Just being around and just seeing so many things happen to so many people in your life, it's like, it's scary, you like walk around scared, watching your back, and what I learned is sometimes it's better to be by yourself, because if you make the wrong decision, it's your fault. Because when you're around a lot of people, you have a lot of different influences, a lot of people pulling you in a lot of different directions. And being young and gullible, you listen and you do, and then you in the situation, you're like, how did I get here?
Mm.
Why am I doing this?
Mhm.
And it's tough because you want to be around your friends. Your friends, you're going out having fun, doing their thing. But once you start setting your goals and you reach one goal that you didn't think was attainable, now you try to build and build. And I talk to my kids all the time about your ceiling. Your ceiling is so high, right? And then when you're able to punch through that ceiling and build a new ceiling, and punch through that ceiling and build a new ceiling, you start to build momentum. And sometimes that momentum carries you away from your friends. And it's okay because you could come back and, have those conversations with you guys, but, your focus is on one thing, their focus is on another thing, and it's okay.
That's right. I
You
think
just got to know what you want.
that's important, Mitch. You just said it's okay. Sometimes we don't feel like it's okay to be away from the crew or be away from the pack. We don't feel it's okay to go for our dreams and still be one of the boys. We don't know that that's possible. We feel like we got to just succumb to the peer pressure. And you just mentioned something that just resonated with me about if you make it by being focused on your goals, you're in a better position to come back to help your friends out who
Exactly.
made the same
Exactly.
decision you made, right? Because then you're probably going to bring some resources with you and bring some other opportunities that maybe they didn't see while you both were hanging on the block. And God willing, they'll still be there around and be open to receive that, man. So I appreciate that perspective. So now let's jump into you coaching. You Coach Titus influenced you to be a coach. You started out coaching young men. Am I correct? Boys and boys first.
So my first year I volunteered at O'Brien with Juan Figueroa. He took me in, learned a lot from Juan and his staff. And then Sean Pope called me. Hey, got an opportunity for you to coach women at UMass Boston. I went over there for a year, had some fun. I lost a lot of hair. I was like, I'll never coach girls again. I'll never coach women again. Then I went to Malcolm Smith called me, one of my guys. He called me and he said, I got an opportunity for you at East Boston. I could get you in the building as a sub, and you're gonna be my assistant coach. And he just pretty much pushed me into the fire with both hands and said, you know what, you're gonna learn this game because I have faith and confidence in you. And I've been running ever since. I coached JV for some years, did a lot of development. That's why I do my skill development program now, because of the JV years. Is when you see a kid, they don't really know what they're doing. They don't know how to really practice. They don't know
Right.
what they're good at, what they're not good at. Usually kids I could shoot, so I'm just gonna go in the gym and shoot. And
Right.
then I would take them. I'm like, listen, you can shoot, so let's work on your left hand. Let's work on you attacking the basket. Let's work on your, defensive slides. So that pretty much built me into being able to develop young men and young women. And I coached with Corey McCarthy at New Mission. We won a state title in 2014. I took over the girls in 2016, and we lost at the Garden. So I got to coach at the Garden twice, one as an assistant and one as a head coach. And
Right.
those experiences you never forget, and then I went back over to UMass Boston for 2 years with Coach Christina Ball. Learned a lot about recruiting, getting on
Right.
that road and riding up and down the coast trying to find some kids, man. So I've done a lot on the scouting, doing the scouting reports. So I'm pretty comfortable with anything that it comes to basketball.
Excellent. Excellent. Because I was going to ask you what led you to go from the boys to the girls to the women, because I've seen the segue, the shift in there, and I was wondering what led to that. So I'm glad you just
Mhm.
introduced you to it, and then you just kept going and building on that. And again, and one of the reasons, because I used to coach women too,
Mhm.
about coaching girls. Same path. I started coaching boys first, and then I just realized, looking in the community, man, that our young women needed men in their lives who loved them unconditionally.
Right.
There was never an issue getting guys to coach boys. There was enough boys playing on court or on the football field. We never have a shortage of men there. But it was like the women, the young girls in our community were also lacking that figure. And that's what led me to do it and coach girls and then eventually go into college, coach women. So your story is very similar and parallel to what mine was. So when you look at the perspective of sports, Mitch, what lessons do you believe are taught through sports and why are they important to you?
Here's a, I tell kids all the time, sports is like life. You're either on time or you're not, right? You're either responsible or you're not. You're either dependable or you're not. And those knots for you are sitting on the bench, right? Those knots for me are not being able to provide for my family. So, when you get older, you take everything that you learn from sports, being a good teammate, being able to communicate, being approachable, you know, having a goal, setting a goal, entertaining the goal, then setting another goal and continuing to grow. Because some teams, have the best talent, but they don't win because they can't play together. Everybody has a role. Your role may be different than mine. You may be the 20-point scorer. I may be the guy that sets the screens and rebounds. But we all are important. And once you start understanding that you treat everybody like you want to be treated, and you treat everybody the right way, you'll go a lot farther because you're gonna have a lot of hands push you up. You're gonna have a lot of hands push you up because those people that a lot of people walk over or ignore, those are the people that are gonna have decisions to make whether you make it or not, going forward. So, I just always learn that, in the team sports in life, you just make sure that you just treat people the right way and they'll treat you the right way at the end.
Now, on piggyback on that, I believe many parents and adults have lost the focus of what's important in sports, Mitch.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know if you agree with that. Yeah, but I think people forget at the base of all the sports, the first thing is you want to have a good time. It should be a fun experience for the child.
Right.
So how do you help educate parents on how to keep things in perspective and to learn the game within the game? And what I mean by that is the game of recruiting. How do you how that game works for recruiting your child? How do you use sports to network for future opportunities? How do you educate parents, man, on how to keep things in perspective? Because everybody thinks their baby's the star, right? They all want their baby to be the star of the team, right? Whether it's their star running back or whatever. And they're all thinking, D1 scholarship, professional one day, right? How do you help parents keep things in perspective, man, and when you're the coach? Because the coaching is tough when you got 12 kids and every one of their parents wants them to be featured.
So here's the thing. Parrish kind of had me take a step back from coaching because you can't make everybody happy, like you can't make everybody happy and be successful, right? So right. The second part of my basketball stuff is the skill development part, right? And that's where like I can bring a parent in. Listen, all right, Jimmy's over here. We're gonna put him in a 3-on-3 situation, and we're gonna see what he does well, and we're gonna see what he struggles with, right? And then you can break down. You see that play right there? He has to be able to make that layup, or he has to be able to make that cut, or he has to be in this position to make a play. You could break stuff down to parents when they're coming in and you're providing a service for them. But when you're coaching, they don't want to hear any of that. Why are they not playing? They don't understand the scheme of the game. They don't understand pace. They don't understand plays. They don't understand time and score for the most part. So, I mean, that's too much to explain to a parent when they're following you in the locker room after you win by 10, but your kid only played 4 minutes.
Right, right.
Listen, we could have a conversation. You could come and meet with me, but right now it's my time with your child. And a lot of the players would tell their parents, like, listen, like we know why we're playing these minutes, and we know how we could play more minutes. So let our relationship with our coach manifest what's going to happen instead of you stepping in and making it worse on me. Parents don't understand. You make it worse on your child when you're in the stands barking, or you're constantly calling or constantly being negative about the coach around the kids, to other coaches, because everybody talks. Everybody knows what you're saying. You don't want to make yourself look bad at the end of the day, like coaches, give them credit. It's a thankless job. You win the game, it's because of the kids. You lose the game, it's because of the coach.
Right.
I've never seen a game where, wow, that coach did a fantastic job and they pulled it out. No. If you draw the perfect play and the kid misses the shot, whose fault is it? The
Right.
coach is. The coach
Right.
get in a position to make a play, but he didn't. So now it's the coach's fault. So it's a thankless job. You know, parents, if you really want to learn the game, coach, because then you'll understand and you put on our shoes, and then you'll
That's
see
right.
you'll see once you see it through a different lens, you'll wake up. Why is this guy just yelling at me? Why is this lady telling me this kid needs to be in? Why is this kid like after a while, like it's all tunnel vision. Like you just hear noise. You don't hear, what people are actually saying. And those are the good coaches, Like I don't hear what you're saying to me in the stands. I
Mm.
don't care. Like I don't go to the grocery store and tell you how to brag the groceries
Right.
or how to ring me up. Or I don't go on the MBTA and tell you how you're supposed to be driving the bus. So if I have a job, let me do my job. You have a job, I'll let you do your job. Period. That's it.
That's it. That's it. That's it. When I was coaching, Mitch, I used to tell the parents when we'd have our preseason meetings, I said, the easiest thing is that you get to see my job. I'm on full display. But if I were to walk with you in the morning and go to your job, I'm sure I can find some things that I think you could do better as well.
Exactly.
You and me, my job is on full display. But I think that, again, getting back to the perspective, a lot of parents have lost that perspective of what sports really is about, man. It's about opportunity for your child to have a good experience, make some friends socially, hopefully be impacted by a positive male or female like yourself who really cares about their child, not just as athlete, but as people, and will deposit something into their lives. But really, again, to use sports as a springboard to greater opportunities, that doesn't mean you're going to go to, University of Connecticut or Kentucky, but it may open an opportunity for you to network some people that can help you down the line, even maybe an admissions counselor, whatever it is. That's the proper concept of what sports should be about, man. But I think we see the horror stories of how many young men are coming through our community who are so focused on being pro athletes that when they don't make it, you don't hear about them anymore. Now they're out there just floundering.
Yeah,
So
it's a sad story, man.
we got to keep letting adults. And then the other flip side is when you have the adults who are in this business for the wrong reason. And I'm sure as a coach, you coach AAU, you've seen that circle, that cycle. You've seen adults who enter the business for the wrong reason. Maybe they were upset with a coach because their son didn't play, right? So now they go start their own AAU team, right? Or she starts her own AAU team. And you just say, you're not in it for the right reason.
Right.
And the young people are going to suffer. I think at the end of the day, what you hit upon is key, is that young people, at the end of the day, your child's going to suffer from all that.
Absolutely. The child suffers the most. I mean, you don't want to gain off a child that, that's not going to be successful. Your job is to help them be productive, and however you have to do it. Maybe they're not a basketball player, right? But, you don't just turn your back on them because they're not the best player. You could find an opportunity for them. Like I run like basketball tournaments. Hey, listen, I make you some money in the summertime. You just hang around me. You could do the table. You could clean up. You could do X, Y, and Z. And those kids remember you too. You're making a positive influence on their lives because you're putting some money in their pocket and they're not giving you anything. Like you don't just do something for people just because they could do something for you in return. I mean,
Absolutely.
the more you do, God's looking over you like he's going to take care of you. I do things because I want God to take care of my children, at the end of the day. Like I believe in karma. You build up a good amount of karma. I want my kids to have good karma, and I want people to see my kids and say, "Hey, that's Coach Mitch's kids. Hey, let's take them to the store, buy them some candy or something."
Right.
And I don't want them looking upon my children negatively because I was a negative impact on their life. Because it's bigger than the game.
It's way bigger than the game, Mitch. And one of the things I always often tell people, in your position in mind, you don't want to kill a young person's dream. If they're thinking of going to the NFL or the NFL, whatever, NBA, let them dream, right? What I say is our goal as adults is just to open the lens up so they can see all the big picture, right? So you mentioned, you have some young people help you out do scoring at the table. That's a job. That's a job. In the sports industry, people keep forgetting that. If you know how to do stats, the book, and all that, those are all jobs that you can get paid to do. that have nothing to do with you being on the court or on the field. Those are jobs.
Right.
Those are skills that can help you pay the bills later on. And, exposing our young people to that, exposing them to the cameramen, every little job in the industry, in the arena. As an athletic administrator, I often ask parents, fathers in particular, when they come to the games, most of them come to the basketball games and they point out their favorite players and the coaches. I always ask them, how many of you point to your kids and say, look at me, look at Mr. Price, the athletic director?
Right.
How many people say, here you have a black man who's an athletic administrator, all this was going on. How many parents go to a gym and say, look at that man over there, look at that woman who's a GM, and point to them as role models, not just the athletes we see on the court and on the field. Again, it's opening that whole perspective so our young people see it all.
Absolutely.
Now,
at the end of the day, you do it to get a good job. At the end of the day, you do it to get a good job. You play basketball to be able to get a good job and take care of your family, right? So if you see somebody that's played the game, coached the game, and now they've taken it to different levels of it, well, you didn't even think that a black man could do, I mean, you only do what you see, right? And it's great seeing you in the position that you're in, and I always tell people about you, man, because you're a big influence on us too, man. Because we watching you. But it's like, you only do what you see, and like you keep rising, somebody's watching you like, hey, I could be like him.
Right.
I could be that guy. And
Absolutely.
I want to be somebody that these kids look up to in my community and say, hey, Coach Mitch is out here. He does this, he does this, he does this, but he always has time for us.
That's it, man. So I want to talk about a tournament you do, Mitch. That's a big tournament, and I'm gonna let you share. You do a tournament in honor of somebody very special to you.
Yeah. So I do my women's tournament. So when you was talking about the girls and not having the opportunities and the avenues to produce like boys, I thought about a tournament years and years ago, just to get all these young ladies out here playing. I was there 14 years straight. So it was Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, JUCO, but it started with 4 teams. Some neighborhood kids. I just bought some shirts, paid for some referees, and and then we played. And then like a couple people came and was like, "What's this?" I'm like, "This is my tournament. I'm doing it next year. So if you want to get involved with it next year, boom." Then we had 6 teams. Then we had 8 teams. I got up to 16 women's teams coming from New Hampshire, Maine, Rhode Island. We had New York come down a couple times. So it was beautiful. It was beautiful just to see the females being put on the grand stage, as I want to say. And that tournament for my late mom. She passed, and I changed the name of it because it was Mitch's tournament,
Right.
and then changed it to the Ruby Hercule Memorial Tournament. And I still have a lot of those pictures of a lot of these players that are playing on TV now, or playing overseas now, and they pretty much got their platform coming to the tournament, getting beat up by the older girls. Now they're the older girls, and I wanted to do it again this year. But COVID happened. I had the gym, I had the teams, I had the sponsors and everything, but COVID happened, and I'm gonna try again next year.
Well, we're gonna pray that you're gonna be able to go on in 2021. But I wanted you to share that because you did you dedicated a tournament in memory of your mother.
Yes.
Who you mentioned earlier had such a great influence in your life, man. And I wanted people to hear that. For those who aren't in the local area, I wanted them to hear about that tournament you do. And the impact that it's having on the community. It's not just basketball, because you do book giveaways, you do back to school, you do a lot more. You're being modest right now, but I want the tournament definitely is growing. I've watched it grow. Not just about basketball.
No, not at all.
I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. So the tournament is based on us raising funds for kids to go back to school with school supplies, backpack school supplies. And I recently teamed up with Puma. Puma donated about 150 pair of sneakers to the organization, so we were able to just drop off sneakers, backpacks, school supplies. And this year, because of COVID, what we try to do is we try to get as many tablets, because we know everybody's going to be doing remote learning, and some of those Chromebooks don't work as well as they used to. So we try to get those tablets with the cameras on both sides, so kids could do Zoom classes on the tablets. I donated a lot of them out in the Brockton area, and I just got a certificate from the mayor and the superintendent for the donation, which was cool. I wasn't looking for anything like that, but they just sent that out, and they acknowledged me at their town hall meeting the other day.
And that's what I'm talking about. You have a heart, man, to give back to the community, and you see a need and you're meeting the need, man. Unlike so many people who just sit back and watch and complain about it, you said, no, I'm going to roll my sleeves up. I'm going to take the lessons and values my mother instilled in me, and I'm going to do what she would have expected me to do if she was still here. And we know that her spirit is still amongst us, but she's looking down from you. I'm sure she's proud as she can be, man, for a baby boy and what you're doing in the community.
I appreciate that.
So like many of us, Mitch, who are doing the work, you wear many hats. You're an educator, you're a coach, I don't use the word mentor, I prefer the word Jegner. And for those of you who are listening or watching, look it up. You are a father, a husband. Which hat or which hats are the most important to you?
The father figure, because I'm not just a father to my children. Everybody that I come in contact with, I feel like I'm either their dad or their uncle. So like just the family part of it, because like I said, it's bigger than the game, right? I get those phone calls at 2 a.m. I got somebody overseas. Their time frame is different, so they're calling me 2 a.m. I got shin splints. I don't know if I could tell my coach that I got shin splints. I'm like, be honest with them, tell them what's going on, and then you'll be fine. They're paying you. You'll be fine. Go play. Then I got kids that made their first AAU team. Like, coach, like I didn't know that I was gonna be able to play AAU. I stuck with you for the summer. And I made a team, and they sent me a picture, right? And then you get the kids that you coach throughout the years that are adult men and adult women now that are working and doing their thing. And, coach, I work here, if you ever need anything, boom, boom. So like if I was a jerk, like some people think I am, I don't know why. If I was a jerk, I wouldn't be able to go in there and and take advantage of the people helping me out. So I just look at it like in a broad scheme of, like, you touch as many lives as possible, and you just try to be as positive as you can. And then, they're going to look at you because you're older as, a father figure, whether you like it or you don't, like, a lot of my girls call me dad, even though they have a dad in their life,
Right.
you're my second dad,
Right.
a lot of these kids don't have a dad in their life, so those hard conversations of, man, basketball's over, what am I going to do with my life? They'll call me, hey, come over, let's talk. There's a lot of opportunities for you, around the game if you want to stay involved with the game. Because I also officiate, so
Right.
I'll push some kids to go take the test to officiate. I'll tell some kids, there's a lot of people that are doing tournaments. If you're able to do that scoreboard, you'll get paid all summer, every summer. It doesn't matter, right? Or if you have a crew that wants to just clean up the gym, you'll get paid. So this is just bigger than the game, man. And I just want these kids to just understand that, like, hey, one day the ball stops bouncing, then what are you gonna do?
Right.
You know?
Right. Absolutely. And that's a critical component. It's a dose of reality, but they need to hear that from somebody that they love, trust, and respect, right? Because then they'll receive it from somebody they got a relationship with. And I think many adults miss that point. We just try to figure we can tell kids what to do or share our stories, but you forget the relationship part. If you don't have that, they're not listening to what you're saying, right?
Not at all.
And the relationship is developed over time. And as you said about people watching me, they watch what you do. They see if you're consistent in your actions. And then that's when they're receptive to listening to what you have to share.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people, particularly in our communities, the Black communities and urban communities and some of the poor rural communities, our young people see adults coming and going all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't know who to be attached to. But when they see you've been in the trenches for a while, and they can see your body of work, they may not like you all the time, right?
Right.
They agree with you every time.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Especially if you got to, correct them.
Mm-hmm.
Respect you because they know that you are real and you're true and you're genuine and that you put in the time. And that's when you can live those life lessons. And that's what I've learned over all the years I've been doing this, Mitch. And, you know, and it's certainly, it's those small victories. Like you just said, when you see a former player who now is a parent themselves, remember a story that you may have even forgotten of a time that you did that impacted their lives, man. Those are the things that you deposit in your heart to let you know. And that's God's way, I believe, of letting you know, son, you're doing what I'm asking you to do. You're walking in your purpose.
Right. And that's the best part of it for me.
So I'm going to switch gears now, Mitch, away from basketball.
Okay.
I want to talk about your occupation. So you decided to enter the field of education.
Yes.
Given the lack of Black men in the profession, what led you to pursue this career?
So I always think of it like this, right? When I see my first African American teacher, 5th grade, right? I see my second one in 10th grade. I did about 5 years at UMass Boston. I think I seen 2 professors, maybe 3, that look like me. And you know, it's like always, like I've been saying, like if you see it, you can do it. But if you don't see it, you don't think you could reach that goal. And you know, the best thing I did was become an educator, because there's so many kids every year that you can impact. And I don't just impact people that are in my classroom, people that are not in my classroom. Like I'm in the hallway, not now, but obviously because of COVID, but in years past, I'm in the hallway and I speak to kids. Hey, how's it going? They look at me like, oh, he spoke to me. Why did he talk to me? And then the next day, hey, how's it going? And then they stop and like, so why are you talking to me? Well, I'm like, why not? You
Right.
know, why not? You know? And then like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they beat you to the punch. Hey, mister, how's your day? Did you watch the game? Blah, blah, blah. And just having those relationships and just building those relationships. Because my motto has always been respect the process. So if you start at the bottom of the process, I was a substitute teacher, then I was a paraprofessional, now I'm a teacher, right? Kids got to understand that, hey, you can start slow, build, and grow. It's all about a process. And if you see more Black men in the hallways saying hello, talking to you, asking you how the family is, asking you what's going on, you have more outlets of people that you could communicate with when you're going through some tough time, because that person looks like you. You could relate to them. They come from the inner city just like you. They know the struggle. They know that you're working from 4 to 11 and you're tired in the morning. And they know that you're not eating. And this breakfast and this lunch is probably the only thing that you're gonna eat. They understand. Like you're more likely and entitled to talk to somebody that you think you can trust, rather than talking to somebody because they're there. You know, you want to be able to trust that person. You want to be able to have an understanding that they know what you're going through. And that's the main reason that I became an educator, because I wanted people to be able to come to me and say, hey, coach, you know, I need to talk for a second. And, you know, I didn't have that many opportunities to do that in high school. And like I said, I just want to be the person that I didn't have when I was a kid.
Right. Now, what barriers did you face in becoming an educator, and what barriers do you face today as an educator?
So it's tough because, you know, you face the numbers game, right? Are you qualified enough for this position? There's 20 people in the pool, you may be the only Black guy in the pool, right? And sometimes that gets like it gets repetitive, man, and it beats on you, and it's like maybe I'm not good enough. But then you know you got to have your faith. Listen, if I'm here for a reason. You know, I can't let the negative thoughts get into my mind. I just got to focus in and lock in. Maybe I do got to be 5 times better. Maybe I do, but I have the opportunity and the ability to do so. So that's what I'm gonna do. And you know, just never feel bad for yourself, and just know that if you don't have confidence in you, nobody else is gonna have confidence in you. So that's a big thing. Like just being confident and just knowing that hey, you know what, this door may close, but another door is gonna open because you got faith. Like yeah, I've had the door slammed in my face plenty of times. Yeah, you're not qualified for this. But yeah, the guy that you just hired, I know I'm better than them.
Right.
My qualifications are better than theirs, but that's not what you were looking for. All right, fine. Boom, that door closes. You knock on the next door. Boom, that door closes. I was never afraid for somebody to tell me no. I've
Mm.
heard no so many times. I thought it was my name at one point in my life, but then, just keep striving, keep pushing. Eventually something's gonna happen for you. You keep that good karma and just grind it out, man. And
So your faith wouldn't let you quit, and that's perseverance, man. That's we all go through those challenges, and unfortunately, when people get that first no, get that door slammed in their face, they give up and they get demoralized and give up and quit, and they don't know that victory is just on the other side of
it. Yep.
give up, man. So you obviously you embrace that I got to keep walking. There's another door that this door wasn't for me. The next one is.
Mm-hmm.
So hard for so many people to embrace, man. But you rely on your faith in God, and I think that's helped give you that perseverance and that attitude to keep going. What do you believe, Mitch, are some of the biggest challenges our young people are facing today in the classroom, and what can we do to close the achievement gap?
Communication, and being able to advocate for yourself. A lot of our young youth, they don't know how to advocate, tell you what's wrong, tell you what they need, because we're here to help, right? So like, if we don't know that you need help, how can we get you help, right? If we don't understand where you're coming from or what you're trying to do, how can we help you lead you into the right direction? I feel like, in my case, in my circumstances, is like just finding out where a kid is, meeting them where they're at, and trying to help them as much as I can. And if I don't have the resources for them, I could find somebody that will. But it's always it's the kids first. They have to take that first step into communicating what you need, right? When you need it, and finding somebody that can help them with that process. Obviously, in the city, we don't have the resources that you know other people have, but we could do the best that we can, and that's all we can do. We could just do the best that we can to help as best as we can. Getting the kid a job, if they need a job, getting the kid a tutor if he needs a tutor, you know, anything, but like the communication piece, I feel like kids don't trust the adults that they're talking to because they haven't been getting the help for so long that they don't think that you can help them. And I understand because I've been on both sides of it. Okay, I tell this teacher, hey, I need this. Maybe it was the wrong teacher you told. Just like the
Right.
nose. Like you gotta tell people. You really gotta open your mouth, man. Closed mouths don't get fed. That's what I was told. You gotta communicate, you gotta advocate for yourself as much as you can until you get what you need, or until you get in the position that somebody points you in the right direction so you can get what you need.
That's very good advice, Mitch. Because you're right. A lot of our young people are not taught how to advocate for themselves, man, and they let opportunities to get help just go by the wayside. That can make their life a little easier. And I think, like so many of us, we find out later, man, I could have done it this way and saved myself a lot of headaches.
A lot of trouble.
But again, you need some adults to kind of point you in that direction as well, and also let you know that that's something that you got to get over. Get past your ego, your pride, and don't be afraid to say, "I need help."
Right.
I can remember, as a young man coming up, sitting in the classroom, and I didn't really know what was going on, but I was too afraid to raise my hand because I didn't want everybody around me to think that I didn't know what was going on.
Right.
And then you see other communities when they teach their young people, no, you ask questions as much as possible so you be a part of the process.
Right.
That's the learning part that many of our young men and women in our communities don't get. Learn to be a part of that process by asking questions so that you really truly get the grasp of how that answer was given to you and why it was given to you.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple more questions, Mitch, and I'm gonna let you go.
Nah, man, take your time,
I
man.
wanted to ask you this. As you reflect on the man you are today, right? You from Galvin to where you are now, man, the growth, your spiritual growth, your family, all of that. What would Mitch today say to Mitch, who was a teenager in his mid-20s? What would you say to him?
Work harder. Invest in Tesla. Just focus. focus on the right things. Don't let your mind travel too much. Don't try to do too much, and don't try to impress people. I think that's a problem that a lot of us have. Is like we want to impress people. We want people to think that we are better than we are, or we want people to think that we have more than what we got. Like just do you, be who you are, just be genuine and be real, and things is gonna work out for you. I think when you're younger, you just feel like you got to be that guy, or you got to be in that circle, you got to be in that crew, or but you don't. I learned a lot being on my own, because like I said, you get the best advice and the worst advice from yourself.
Right.
But you gotta take it, like, and if it backfires on you, you can only blame yourself.
That's
And
true.
like as you're younger, you listen to too many influences. Some are good, some are bad. So you got to decipher through and just figure it out. But I would tell myself, listen, slow down a little bit. You know, enjoy those times with your mom, because you never
Mm,
know how long they're gonna last. And value your family, because you know family doesn't last forever neither. A
that's
lot
right.
of people, you're burying a lot of people because of COVID. You're burying a lot of people because they're getting older. But when you're younger, man, just spend as much time with your family as you can.
That's good advice, man. And I'm sure that someone listening right now is going to take that to heart, man, because those are words of wisdom you just shared with us, brother. And I would be remiss if I forgot to mention this. And I'm looking at all your paraphernalia behind you. You just recently was recognized by the Boston Celtics as the hero among us. Am I not mistaken?
Yeah, yeah, that is correct.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations, brother.
Thank
Well
you.
deserved.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that was cool, man. I thought I was getting pranked because they called me, and I've been listening to a lot of those prank phone calls.
Right.
They call me like, "Hey, I'm from the Boston Celtics." So I look at my wife. I'm like, "Okay, she pranked me. All right, I'm just gonna go with it." And then he starts talking, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, this kind of sounds real." And then he's like, "I'm gonna send you an email." And he sent me the email. He said, "Send me a picture of yourself." And boom, I'm like, they're going too far. So I checked, and it was legit. So I mean, it's a blessing. I don't do my work because of to get that, but it's good to be recognized sometimes.
Absolutely, man. And that's why I said well deserving, man. And it just goes to show you that, as you said earlier, you never know who's watching you, right?
Right.
People, when you're consistent, man, you're consistent in the walk that you do and the work that you do, and it's good work, recognition will come. It's not why you do it, but it's going to come because you're going to impact enough people who are going to see the difference you're making in the community. So certainly an honor, man, and I couldn't be more happier for you, man. When I first learned about that award, I was like, couldn't have went to a better person.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it for
So I
sure.
want to ask you, Mitch, what's up next for you? And I know you're doing workouts, and what else up next for you? And how can people get involved? They want to get in contact with you, man, just to connect with you, with it, whether it's to support your tournament or to learn about your skills and drills. You also do conditioning workouts for adults. So tell me what's next and how people can get in contact with you.
So I know the gym situations are kind of scarce right now. So what we're doing, we've been doing the last couple of months. We've been outside Phil's Corner working out with the young kids. I've been having different sessions for different age levels and skill levels. I also had a women's group coming in doing some training. That was good, man. It was started with one lady. She was like, you know what? I'm bringing my niece every time. Put me through a workout. And then she brought somebody, and they brought somebody, and they brought somebody, and we had the mats out, the weights out, the jump ropes out. So it was a beautiful thing. They've been calling me for the last couple of weeks. I'm like, listen, I don't know, but
Right.
I have a website, herc42skills.com. I have a donate button if anybody wants to donate. You can see the story from the beginning to now, the skill development, training, the tournaments. I also run a JV tournament. We had 24 kids, 24 JV teams come in. Randolph showed out pretty well out there.
That's right. That's right.
It started a long time ago out in East Boston. I think we had 8 teams. This year we had 24 teams, and we used 2 gymnasiums. So it's been growing. I had Brookline, I had Medford, Methuen, I had Central Catholic came down, Like it's definitely growing. It's definitely growing. I have a button on there that shows you a lot of the teams that played in that. I have the button for the women's tournament, so you could check out and see if you see some of your favorite older players, um, and just check that out. And I have a couple of videos for my skill development piece that I do. So I do skills from boys, girls, men, women, any age, any skill level, anybody just coming and willing to work. You can sign up on there. So that's where you can find me, man. I'll be in Phil's Corner on Saturday if it's nice out.
That's fantastic. This is what I mean, folks. If you're listening right now, this is why I say this man embodies the qualities of a good man. Now, Mitch, give your website one more time.
Herc42skills.com.
Good. Now, any last words, any closing advice, man, that you want to leave with the listeners? You know, I mean, one day your children are going to hear this, man. What do you want people to hear? Give us some last closing advice.
So my thing will always to be just work hard, stay hungry, and stay humble. You get that door open, you crack it open for your partner to come in behind you. That's what I've always been about. You get an opportunity, bring somebody with you, you know, because they may never get that opportunity if you don't bring them with you.
Absolutely. Amen to that, man. So, folks, again, this is Tony. As you can tell, man, as you just heard from my brother, Mitch Hercule, you can see why I think he's a good man. You know, and keep in mind, as I said in the previous episode, a good man is not a perfect man. We make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But he's willing to accept full responsibility for those mistakes and learn from those choices he's made. He's a man that loves unconditionally. He's a man of good character. He is a problem solver. He sees a problem, he gets to work. And lastly, he's committed to his family, his faith, and the community. Mitch Hercule, you are a good man, brother, and it is a pleasure and my honor to have you on my show today.
Man, it's been an honor. I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. So for those who are listening, if you are being encouraged by the podcast, again, you can leave feedback on the platform you're listening to. You can view the show on my website, tonyrprice.com. Or if you want to contact me, hit me up, email me at timeout@tonyrprice.com. Love to hear your feedback. So until our next time out, be safe, give thanks, and look for opportunities to encourage and serve others. Now it's time to get back in the game. God bless.